mouth. Then they looking for trouble. Ran right up in the knowledge. Now they back in the huddle. See, they know we can fight. New content every week. Me and Dr. Clyde keep on bringing the heat. Now they know they were driven. And they know we quitting. Yoshi and the winner. Keep on bringing the energy. Unity. See, they know we ain't stopping. And they know they got problems. And they ran out of options. If they know we got a problem, can't let it go unsolved. Brain based learner, Afrocentric history, we see tomorrow. Karma's karma, I say what I say, I hear underwater. Till I see I fall off, then I bring y'all up on note. I'm back up on my Clyde winners. Clyde winners, Clyde winners. Clyde winners, Clyde winners, Clyde winners. Clyde winners, Clyde winners, Clyde winners. Clyde winners, Clyde winners, Clyde winners. Divine winters, Clyde winters, mind bender. Clyde winters, I'm Richard, ride with ya. Master teacher, create masters, Clyde winters. Give respect to the elder, Clyde winters. Somebody out there looking for me. I told you somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me.
We have to live by the law. We have to live by the law. I have not done wrong. I have not robbed. I have not stolen. I have not blamed. I have not told lies. I have not stolen food. I was not stolen. I have not fornicated with the fornicator. I have not caused anyone to weep. I have not dissembled. I have not transgressed. I have not discussed secrets. I have brought no lawsuits. I am not wrong. I am not struck here. I am not transgressed the law. I have not been hunted. Except when I'm talking about on the song. I have not made extolling. I have not bragged. I have not cursed. I have not been violent. I have not confounded truth. I have not been impatient. I have not cursed again.
Dr. Winter's legacy is a testament to the power of knowledge and the unyielding spirit of exploration. His impact is felt worldwide, as he shares and enlightens at conferences, symposiums, and collaborative projects. His voice is a beacon in the academic world, challenging, inspiring, and always educating. His journey reminds us that the quest for knowledge is never-ending, and its impact is timeless. Dr. Winters teaches us to challenge the narratives and to learn with an open mind. As he always says, B1 is not a group, it's a lineage. Let his story inspire everybody to pursue knowledge relentlessly and to always seek the truth. Now let us welcome in the grandfather of research, the Trill OG himself, the Honorable Dr. Clyde Winters.
What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? How's everybody doing? Do you know what day it is? Well, I'm going to tell you. Today is Thursday. And on Thursday, what do? On Thursday is Black History. Yes. Black History. I'm going to talk to you today about a Black History theme. And I think it's a very interesting thing because we're going to talk about Ebonics. Do you know what Ebonics is? Ebonics, in a sense, is a name that some linguists give to the language that Black people speak. Again, in a sense, people say that Black people don't have a culture. But one of the things that really illustrate, in a sense, the fact that we do have a culture is when the people have their own language. And we are recognized by linguists as having our own language. Linguists refer to this language as Ebonics. And Ebonics means ebony sounds. Because the fact in a sense is that they found that yes, we do speak an aspect of English, but it's totally different from standard American English. And that because of the fact that we do speak an aspect of English, which linguists call Ebonics, allow us to be recognized as speakers of our own unique language, of our own independent language. And this is something that people don't really understand because, see, they're always trying to tell you how Black Americans, foundational Black Americans don't have a culture. This is a lie. We do have a culture. We have a language. We have foods. We have drinks. We have many things in a sense. But today, I want to basically just talk about, Ebonics or the language that we speak. Ebonics. You go to my Patreon to see the slides. I'm going to do this presentation. And after I do this presentation, I'm going to put this presentation on my Patreon. You can find me at Twitter at Dr. Clyde Winters 8. Follow me on TikTok.com at Clyde Winters 3 to view my shorts. Many of these shorts were done by Yoshimod the Genius. Yoshimod, he's still working on a lot of stuff, but he's making a movie now. And he's going to make a movie about my Olmec studies. And hopefully, when he makes this movie, I'll be able, in a sense, to tell you guys about it so you too can check it out. Check it out again. My videos are on Clyde Winters YouTube videos. These deals with my history research that I've conducted over the past 40 years. I've had my YouTube videos up for maybe as many as 14, 15, maybe 20 years. It's been up a long time. You can also order my books at Amazon.com. B1 is acknowledging your Black African ancestry and mod, not heritage. We must be race men and women proud of our culture and African Black ancestry. What is B1? B1 is unity with mod. Yes, B1 is unity with mod. Some of the books that deal with our experience in the Americas is the Nationality and Law Foundation of Black Americans, which deal in a sense how we began in a sense to recognize ourselves as foundational Americans. You can get my book, The Paleo Americans, which discuss in a sense our paleo ancestors that go back maybe 10, 25,000 years ago. And of course, my book, History of Blacks in America from Prehistory to 1877. This is a core book. This book will give you the basics of our entire history and the basic history of some of the Black Europeans and the three groups that made up foundational Black Americans, which are the Aboriginals, Black Europeans, and finally Africans who were transported over here and enslaved in these United States. If you want to find out more about my linguistic studies, you can get my book, African Historical Linguistics. In this book, I discuss the Ethiopian comparative view of languages. My book, African Origin, World Writing Systems. And you can get my book, naturally, The World History of the Black Race. The World History of the Black Race should be in everybody's library because the World History of the Black Race is a book that deals with the history of the basic Black civilizations that I found that existed throughout the world in ancient times. So check this out, and you'll find it very interesting. If you want to find out about my research that deals with the genetics that prove that African people in the Americas or Native American people in the Americas were Black and of African origin, check out this video. It's made by some brothers called Dr. Clyde Winters. First Americans were Black. The DNA evidence. Check this out so you can see the DNA evidence that proves our ancestors were Black, like you, Black like me, Black like us. But most importantly, you understand that we're B1. B1, what is B1? B1 is Black first. Whoa. B1 is not only Black first, B1 is brilliant first, because we, as foundational Black Americans, are Black and brilliant. Yes, we're Black and brilliant. Hug a brother, hug a sister, hug your nearest FBA, because we are one, be one. What is FBA? FBA is not a group. FBA is not an organization. FBA is a lineage. A lineage is lineal descent from an ancestor, ancestry or pedigree. As a result, we are descendants of the Black Europeans, African, and Aboriginal Blacks who built these United States. Yes, that's who we are. Whoa. Language is human, language is speech. I want to talk about Ebonics, because see, since language is human, it depends on the sounds that we make, our signs, the gestures we make, because language is not only symbolic, it's also arbitrary. Language is also systematic, dynamic, and complete, i.e., for example, a grammar with rules that change over time. Language is cultural. It encodes values, social relations, and knowledge. These premises undercut the premise that foundational Black American speech is defective. No, it's not defective. On the contrary, it's a coherent language system that, like any language, invocates lexicon, syntax, style across time, and context. In understanding language, you had to think about acquisition, mind, and culture. Vygotsky, I like Vygotsky. Vygotsky was a social scientist, and he tried to look at how, in a sense, people develop. I like Vygotsky's view of language development. He feels, in a sense, that language developed first as an aspect of social speech, directed talk, e.g., I want soda. Then it went from social speech to egocentric speech, which is between the ages of 3 to 7, and this is overt self-guidance. Till finally you reach inner speech. This is silent self-regulation from the 7 years on and upward. Language acquisition integrates brain, mind, self, and culture. Yes, these elements are all, influence how we speak and the languages we speak. Humans have an innate capacity for language. This is realized through interaction with caregivers and community. School success rides on this interaction. Language scaffolds, yes. Language scaffolds problem solving, vocabulary growth, factual knowledge, and procedural reasoning. Cultural repertoires, proverbs, folktales, wisdom talk are not extracurricular. No. These cultural repertoires, they are cognitive tools which we use to interpret the world and who and what we are. Registers, dialect, and communicative competence. A sophisticated speaker moves across registers. This is a situation of varieties, style, individual range, and codes. Systems to achieve communicative competence, including intercultural competence, and what we may call where Standard American English, SAE, is normative. Key notions that you had to think about is that dialects are on a continuum. These are varieties of language graded without sharp boundaries. They're isoglossics, geographical lines that bundle features. They also include code switching, which is shifting register from dialects with social stakes. It includes slangs and jargon. Jargon is in-group vocabulary that solidify identity among schools, trades, professions, fraternities, grassroots organizations. FBA speakers routinely display high metalinguistic skill in code switching between Ebonic and Standard American English, evidence of expanded and diminished competence sometimes. Language change in the comparative method, all languages change, meaning shift from nice to maybe foolish, and foolish can go to pleasing. You have word blends like smoke, fog, which equals smog, and lexicons grow like commando. Historical linguistic distinguishes synchronic, the state of a language now, and diachronic, the state of a language across time, perspectives. Comparative linguists look for cognitives under the relatedness and regularity hypothesis. In other words, the regularity hypothesis states that sound change is systematic. Classic examples, for example, vowel, the V became F across Germanic languages. For example, in German, we have Vater, father, whereas we use, in a sense, the word father. The text advanced an extended comparative tableau, proposing affinities among English, Dravidian, Senegalese, and Mandi terms. For example, if we look at these languages, English, Dravidian, Senegalese, and Mandi, we can look at the word mother, which can become Ama or Ma, which equals king or Mansa. Whatever one stands, the key methodological lesson holds structural comparison relies on recurring phonological patterns and shared morphosyntax, not random resemblances. Substrate hypothesis. What is the substrate hypothesis? The substrate hypothesis is that African and American sources, in other words, in a sense, we find that foundational Black American speech has been been influenced by the Niger-Congo groups of language, especially the Mandi and Wolof, but it's also been influenced by Algonquin, which is a Native American language. In other words, in a sense, if we want to look at various words, sometimes these words go not only in a sense to this America, but also to Africa. For example, some of the Africanisms in English include okra, which comes from the Igbo language, yam, which comes from the Akan, Afula families, tote, which comes from the Gullah language, which includes words like jazz, jive, juke, mojo, obeah, voodoo. Sit alongside indigenous loan words such as hominy, squash, tomahawk, moccasin, raccoon, wigwam, wampum, powwow, caucus. All of these words, in a sense, go back to this Native American influence. The argument is not that English is African or Algonquin, but that American English is a contact language. And foundational Black American speech was forged under social isolation and within a creative community, which preserved the deeper African morphosyntactic patterns while employing an English lexicon. Very important to understand. In other words, in a sense, our grammar is usually of Indian or African, whereas in a sense, this grammar is used to produce English terms. A parallel strand traces Mandi influence in the Americas and proposes readings of missionary colonial testimonies. For example, Lahoughton, he's done a lot of research, and he found in his research, when you look at some of the words he found, they definitely showed that they're Mandi. We know that Nanakoke and Okanichi, Tutelo, Monacan, all of these ethno-linguistic situations include, in a sense, Mandi-like lexemes. And these lexemes have also been reported in Nahuatl and even as far as the Andean languages, so some Mandi influence. These claims, some controversial, nevertheless foreground a central thesis. Foundational Black American language is historically embedded in transatlantic and transcontinental exchanges and should be studied within a large-scale history related to that context. Ebonics as a system, phonology, morphosyntax, prosody, the structural profile of Ebonics is rule-governed. Consonant clusters are sixified. Instead of saying cold, it's very cold outside. We say it's cold outside. Instead of saying rest, we say, let's take a rest. Instead of saying fact, we say, what fact is this? There's an artlessness in vocalization. Car, let me go drive a car for car in specific phonological environments. The alternation of the da for mouth. Instead of saying birth, we say, hey, birth. Stress pattern, subsegmental forward stress. We have, for example, in the words police, we say police. Bring the police here. We might say, in the sense of saying Detroit, we say Detroit. There's lexicosemantic aphorisms. For example, dig, which means understand, is from the Wolof word dega, which is an affirmative particle reminiscent of wa, k, okay. Crucially, the claim is not that Ebonics lacks grammar. Rather, it has a different deep grammar with Niger-Congo like aspects, e.g. tense, aspect, mood, marking, copula, variability, negation patterns. These all, in a sense, go back to the Niger-Congo group of languages because many of us that came over here from Africa spoke Niger-Congo languages, especially many of the so-called slaves, paired with English vocabulary. Hence, mutual intelligibility or standard American English coexists with palpable structural distance within Ebonics. We have grassroots pedagogy, for example, proverbs, folktales, and cognitive FBA used to represent wisdom talk. Proverbs such as one monkey don't stop no show. A hard head makes a sore behind. Count your blessings, not your problems. Function as moral philosophy in miniature, teaching ethics, inference, and practical reasoning among foundational Black Americans. We also have various stories that also, in a sense, have a cultural relativity. For example, the Brer Rabbit cycle of Uncle Remus corpus is conical pedagogy of cunning, modeling tactical intelligence for children, confronting structurally hostile environments. Such genres are epistemic patterns, practices that train judgment, situational analysis, and social navigation. The very skills schools often struggle to cultivate are inherent in terms of the social or the way foundational Black Americans use language. If you want to find out more books about Afro American language, get my books, African Historical Linguistics, African Origin World Writing Systems, and of course, a book that should be in every home is The World History of the Black Race. These books can be ordered from Amazon.com. Get these books, put them in your library so you too can understand who you are, where you came from, and more about our culture and civilization. We also, in a sense, have Gullah names and transatlantic echoes in the Sea Island culture. Gullah nicknaming practices and personal names such as Mariama, Fadu, Ja, Bagura, Sesi, Koromo corroborate sustained African continuities among, in a sense, the people who live in the Sea Islands. Everyday lexicons like Joso, Wanga, Bento, Defu, Do reflect Mindi, Timni, Vi sources showing how child rearing, e.g., nurse-child contact, and community life can transmit substrate vocabulary into local Englishes. Yes, yes, yes. These are all words, in a sense, that have an African origin, which is found today, even among many of the Gullah languages, We have a deep prehistory, micro comparisons, and caution. The text revisits macro phylogenetic debates. Atkinson's on the African origin of global language families. Sisso et al. On the four counter-arguments, and offers a thesis of Egyptian, Niger, Congo commonalities. Look at the work of Diop and others. These large-scale claims are methodologically ambitious and contested. What matters for present purposes is the research programs that imply or study foundational Black American language as historical science, with testable hypotheses about contact, substrata, and change. Educational implication of Ebonics as a second language comes from decades of research. We know from this research, in a sense, that Ebonics is one. It's a legitimate rule-governed system. Two, there's a contrastive analysis that maps systemic differences, phonology, morphal syntax, and discourse within Ebonics. Three, there's dialectical competence as an asset, code switching as advanced literacy. Moreover, there's bilingual style supports material assessment, teacher training, and if you finance, and in a sense, I really believe that one of the things that keep foundational Black Americans from learning is because of the fact that, in a sense, is that we're not taught English as a second language. It's assumed that we speak standard English. In fact, nobody really in America speaks standard English. But if you taught English as a second language to Black people, I think that's going to help foundational Black people to have a better understanding of the English language and also make them, in a sense, more proficient guides and, in a sense, enrich, in a sense, our understanding of standard American English because, see, the vocabulary, the many of the terms are basically in American English is basically of a foundational Black American origin. In conclusion, FBA language is not a deficiency to be corrected. It is a cultural technology, a historically layered system refined under the pressure of enslavement, segregation, and creative resilience. Its phonology, syntax, prosody, lexis, and pragmatics are regular and learnable. Its proverbs and folktales are engines of reasoning. The code clarifies why dialectical education works. and why deficit narratives fail. In short, FBA have their own language. We have our own terms. And it is not an act of indulgence, but of scholarly accuracy and educational justice to admit that Black people do have their own language. Yes, you have to understand that we have a language, but that is only one aspect, in a sense, of our culture, you see? And what we have to do, in a sense, is we have to understand that when people try to claim that we don't have a culture, we do have a culture, beginning with our language, then our music, our styles. But see, as I've said over the years, is that the basic reason that many people don't believe that we have a culture is because of the fact, in a sense, is that American culture is our culture. Everything that makes America cool, everything that makes America what it is a result of the fact that it's from our culture, because American culture is foundational Black American culture, or vice versa. Again, in the sense that I thank you guys for coming again. I hope you learned a little bit today about Ebonics. And always remember is that our culture is important. Remember, in a sense, is that if we are going to be successful, we have to accept the fact that reality is based upon recognizing that we are Black, that we are true, and that we have a lot to offer. For those people who want to learn more and would like to learn about more about our history and culture, you might want to take my course. You can contact me if you want to take the course. The course is $500, and it will teach you how to do research. Contact me, and if you're interested in the research course.
Afrocentric Research Course.
You will learn how to interpret anthropological, historical, legal, genetic, and other forms of research literature. This is 30 hours of learning how to do qualitative and quantitative research methods. The course begins on April 16th. The class will be taught every Tuesday for 15 weeks. Join Dr. Winters' research class. Afrocentric Research Course. Become a researcher.
Hey, it's time for the Afrocentric Researcher course led by Dr. Clyde Winters. Join this course. The 15-week Afrocentric Researcher course will begin on April 16, 2024. It will last between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can go to clyde98.gumroad.com/L/ to join the class. The Afrocentric Researcher course is vital. In this course, you will learn how to do research. It will help you to write and conduct research. You see, you're going to learn how to do research. You're going to learn how to interpret research literature. And you're going to learn how to write books and articles. Yes, books and articles. And you're going to learn how to use research data to improve your small business. Already, in a sense, many former students have begun to write articles and books that they published. You too can write these articles and books after you take my class. You can make a single payment of $599. You can go to clyde98.gumroad.com/L/ZBWRJR, or you can make monthly payments. Go to clyde98.gumroad. Join me for my 15-week Afrocentric Researcher course. It's going to be the class that's going to help you to really be a success. It's going to start April 16, 2024, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Join us. Join us in this class. Learn how to do research. It's up to you.
Afrocentric Research Course.
You will learn how to interpret anthropological, historical, legal, genetic, and other forms of research literature. This is 30 hours of learning how to do qualitative and quantitative research methods. The course begins on April 16th. The class will be taught every Tuesday for 15 weeks. Join Dr. Winters' research class. Afrocentric Research Course. Become a researcher.
Okay, if you're interested in the research class, just contact me again. $599. In this class, you're going to do work. I'm going to show you how to do the research. But there are certain assignments that are necessary. But I guarantee you that as a result of taking this class, you're going to know a whole lot more about our history, and you're going to be able to write books and articles. Yes, I guarantee that you're going to be able to write books and articles dealing with Black history after you take this research class. So just send me an email, and we can work this out, and I can set it up for you. Anyway, take care. Our identity and our culture as Black foundational Americans. Yes, yes. Wars between Black Indians and whites were manufactured to produce Black slaves for whites. The English, the French, and the Dutch provided the Native Americans with guns, rum, and cheap goods to purchase Native American Indian slaves. Between 1670 and 1720, many Black Native Americans were enslaved. The Black Native Americans were sold into slavery throughout the 13 colonies, Mississippi Valley, Canada, and the British West Indies. The majority of Black Native Americans sold into slavery by whites and Indians. Slave traders were the Choctaw, the Yamasee, and other Carolina tribes. Yes, yes. Many of these tribes, like the Mandi, Mandinga, many of these tribes, we lost their names. And their names have been lost to history because of the fact, in a sense, that when the European came, as he conquered these Black Indians, he just made them slaves. And so over time, in a sense, their nations disappeared. Over time, in a sense, their history wasn't recorded. Over time, they've even able to deny that Aboriginal Blacks even existed in America. They wanted to give our Aboriginal ancestors gifts. And the only problem with the gifts that they gave us was that often these blankets that they gave us carried smallpox. Yes, diseases. They also, in a sense, gave us another gift, rum, fire water. And this rum caused an addiction among us. In a sense, it led to a demand for guns because it incentivized Indian slave trading. Yes, the first slaves sold in America were Indians, Black Indians, selling other Black Indians to Europeans to work on their cotton, not on their cotton plantations, their tobacco plantations, their rice plantations. Yes, yes, yes. We sold each other over here, just like in Africa, because of the fact that that we failed to understand that we are one, we are one, we are one. We should be united based upon our identity and our culture as Black foundational Americans. Yes, yes. Reparations, baby, reparations. We deserve reparations. We deserve reparations like yesterday, not just today. No, not just today. We deserve our reparations. Give us our money, baby. Cut the check.
Cut the check, Black first because it's brilliant. People talk too much. Say less, remain on code, follow the spirit. When the going gets tough, it's time for resilience. Cut the check, Black first because it's brilliant. People talk too much. Say less, remain on code, follow the spirit. When the going gets tough, it's time for.
The only thing that can save you is be one, be one, be one. To fight Cage, you must stay Black first.